night was an evening of firsts for your Rangers. Phil Klein won his first Major League start. Sean Tolleson finished off the Red Sox in the ninth for his first Major League save. Tonight, another first. Wandy Rodriguez makes his Fenway Park debut as the Rangers go for their first series win over Boston in 2 years. The Rangers and the Red Sox from Fenway, coming up next. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT&T UVerse TV. It is an absolutely gorgeous evening for baseball here in Beantown. Fenway Park decked out in its spring finest as the Rangers and the Red Sox get set to do battle in Game 3 of this three-game set. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Green, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us for this Thursday night of Ranger baseball. Rangers coming off a 2-1 win last night. They look to make it 2 in a row and win the series here at Fenway Park. And they'll send Wandy Rodriguez, Tom, out against Clay Buchholz tonight.
You know, if you look at Clay Buchholz's overall record, it doesn't look that great, but he had one start early where he gave up 10 hits, 9 runs in 3 innings. That kind of skews things. He's coming off by far his best start of the year, in which he threw 8 innings, only gave up 1 run, didn't walk anybody, and struck out 11. Wandy Rodriguez is coming off a start that wasn't his best start against Cleveland at home, but he's pitched terrific on the road. He's 1-0 with a 1.42 ERA on the road this season. First opportunity to pitch in Fenway Park against the Red Sox. Should be a great experience for him.
Should be, and the Rangers looking to stay over 500 away from Arlington. They are 11-10 coming in here tonight. So we'll come back to Fenway Park with more of our pregame right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Is brought to you by the Ford Memorial Day EcoBoost sales event. Get to your best in Texas Ford dealer today. By AT&T UVerse TV. Ubers has more live TV channels on the go than cable. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Now, before we get things underway here from Fenway Park tonight, let's send it down to Emily Jones, who is over on Yawkey Way.
Buzz, thank you. Well, a trip to Fenway would not be complete without a visit to Yawkey Way, where literally you can find everything. There is food, there is drink, there is live music. Of course, there's a giant baseball player on stilts with a really crazy mustache. It's a great place to hang out before, during, after the game. It's actually part of Fenway Park. So when you buy a ticket, you can come out here, enjoy the festivities, and then you make your way back into the ball game. So a very cool scene here at Yawkey Way, a very cool scene at Fenway. It has been a fun ride here in Boston. We've got the finale of this 3-game set coming up next on Fox Sports Southwest. And in the meantime, I'm going to play a little catch with this guy. All right, barehanded and all. We've got the first pitch coming up from Boston next here on Fox Sports Southwest.
Park here tonight. Rangers and the Red Sox getting set to wrap up this 3-game series. Each team has won one of the first 2 ball games. Rangers winning last night by a 2-1 count. Texas comes in 17-23 overall. They are in 4th place in the American League West. They are trailing the hot Houston Astros by a 9.5 ball games, actually by 9 games now as we begin play here tonight, as Houston lost today in Detroit. So the Rangers chance to pick up ground in the American League West. Rangers are 11-10 away from home. They are taking on a Red Sox team who comes in at 19-21. And they are 3rd in the AL East, 2.5 games behind both the Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays. And now Tom is going to tell you about the Southwest Airlines Texas Rangers starting lineup.
The Rangers will start with right fielder Shin-Soo Choo. Delano DeShields again gets the start in left field and bats second. Prince Fielder is the DH. Adrian Beltre bats 4th at 3rd. Mitch Moreland is 5th at first base. Elvis Andrus hits 6th again. Leonis Martin is in center field. Adam Rosales gets the start and bats 8th, second base. And catching Wandy Rodriguez tonight again will be Carlos Corporan.
And that lineup will be going against the 30-year-old Clay Buchholz from Nederland, Texas. Buchholz 2-4, but as Tom told you, coming off his best start of the year, he just gave up 1 run in 8 innings of work against the Seattle Mariners. A very good, heavy, sinking fastball with good command of his secondary pitches when he is on. And that has been the usual of late. Strikeout totals will rise markedly if the Ranger hitters expand their strike zone at all against Clay Buchholz. He is averaging almost 10.5 strikeouts per 9 innings this year. And throughout his career, he has been a pretty good strikeout pitcher, averaging better than 8 strikeouts per 9 innings of work. And Clay Buchholz with the Red Sox up and down since the 2007 season. That was the season that saw him make his major league debut, and in his second big league start that year, pitched a no-hitter against the Baltimore Orioles. And we'll take a look at the defense behind Clay Buchholz, brought to you tonight by Steel. Outfield this evening, just as it has been the first 2 games. Ramirez in left, Betts in center, and Nava is in right field. Mike Napoli at first, Pedroia and Bogarts up the middle. Again, Brock Holt in for the ailing Pablo Sandoval at third. And catching tonight is Sandy Leon. Our first look at Leon in this series. Buchholz finishing us at his warm-up toss. A beautiful, crystal clear night here at Fenway Park. The temperatures in the low to mid-60s. Very light wind blowing out toward left center field. Ideal evening for baseball. Very dry here tonight and comfortable temperatures. Should be a dandy as the Rangers get set to wrap up this series and head on down the coast to take on the Yankees over the weekend. So ready to get underway, Shin-Soo Choo will step in to start things off. Choo, a .233 mark, 6 home runs. That is tops on the Rangers. 17 runs driven in. First pitch of the night is a fastball high and away for ball 1. Choo just 1 for 9 in this series. And against Buchholz, Shin-Soo has not had much luck. 1 for 12. 2 balls, no strikes to count. Rangers winning last night 2-1. They dropped the opener 4-3. So a couple of close, low-scoring ball games between the Red Sox and the Rangers here in Fenway. 2-0 pitch. That is in for a strike. Rangers come in swinging the bats well this month of May. They are a .267 hitting team in the first 19 games of the month, up among the league leaders, or the league leader in a lot of them. And there's a base hit by Choo to right field to start things off.
Yeah, that was a pretty good pitch. Buchholz threw the cut fastball right in on the fists, and Shin-Soo looped it over second. And if anyone had a little blooper coming today, it was Shin-Soo. He hit the ball hard 3 times in yesterday's game. Line drive to the outfield and 2 line shots off the pitcher. Could have easily had 3 hits in the game. As it was, he was 0 for. But he starts off this game with a little soft single to left and feeling a little better so far tonight.
No, 1 on, nobody out. Delino to Shields. Back in that number 2 slot, a .271 hitter. Get a bunt. It's a good one. It is going to be a tough play for Holt. There is no play. Boy, that ball got out there and just stopped dead. And nothing that Holt could do with the Shields running.
Like a chip shot to the green. It just stopped dead. There was no way anyone was going to throw him out on that. That's one of those plays Mac was talking about the other day, Buzz, where it doesn't matter if you know he's going to bunt and you play in. If he drops it down right there, there's nothing you can do about it.
No, there isn't.
You can't play in far enough to get him. And you can't catch it and throw it at that angle hard enough to beat him the way he can run going to first base.
So 2 hits, 2 men aboard, nobody out. Prince Fielder up there now, trying to get the Rangers on the scoreboard. High for ball 1. Fielder, second in the American League with a .348 average. He is trailing Nelson Cruz, who's leading in all 3 categories. Right now, Nelly Cruz, the Triple Crown leader. .351 average, and Prince right there at .348. 5 home runs, 23 RBI. Fly ball to right. That is going to chase Nava back. Still going back on the track. Makes the catch. Both runners tagging. They will advance 90 feet. 2 to third. DeShields to second. And Prince Fielder a long fly, but a productive out as Rangers now have 2 runners in scoring position.
Yeah, Prince hit that ball well, but I think it got in on his fist. As a cut fastball, got in on him just enough to keep him from going probably over the bullpen because he had the right trajectory on it. He just missed the good part of the bat by a hair. As it was, it moves both runners, and Rangers have a chance to get on the board again in the first inning.
A 1 gone. Here's Adrian Beltre. The Red Sox now playing the infield back. They will give up the run for an out to hopefully, from their perspective, prevent a big inning. Adrian at 264. 1 ball, no strikes. Beltre 5 home runs and 15 RBI. Adrian last night 2 for 4. He is 3 for 8 in this series. Has a 5-game hitting streak alive coming into play tonight. 1-0 pitch coming from Buchholz. 1 ball and 1 strike.
We're talking about Buchholz, and if you look at his record, he's 2-4 with a 4.93 ERA. It doesn't look that good. We mentioned his last start was an excellent start, 1 run, 12 strikeouts in 8 innings. But he had a start, his second start, he gave up 9 hits and 10 runs. If you take that away, just that 1 start, in the rest of his 7 starts, his ERA is 3.15. So most of the time, he's pitched with about a 3.1 ERA. You can't do that, of course. Take your worst out in the way and do it, make it look better. But the reality is, 7 out of 8 times he's been pretty good.
Yeah. 2-1 to Beltre.
You make a pretty good case for you if you could just get rid of those 9-run games.
Yeah, exactly.
As a pitcher.
Exactly. Would have been a lot better.
Well, let's not count that one. Take a mulligan.
More fun to tell your grandkids about all the good stuff and forget about the bad ones. 3-1 to Adrian Beltre. 2 at third. Delino DeShields out at second. 1 out here in the top of the first inning. Just outside, ball 4. Oh, Buchholz being relatively careful with Adrian Beltre. Loses him on the walk. That loads the bases with 1 out. And it brings up Mitch Moreland.
Yeah, the good thing about that at bat is Adrian wants to produce so badly. In last night's game, he expanded his strike zone a little bit trying to do that. And I think Buchholz, with first base open, was trying to see if he would do it again. And Adrian didn't take the bait. He took the walk on pitches that were out of the strike zone.
Yeah, last night, especially against Junichi Tozawa, Adrian really pumped up and swinging his stuff over his head. First pitch to Moreland. Buchholz went with a changeup and got a swinging strike 1. Mitch was geared up to get that first pitch fastball and didn't get it.
Well, the Rangers had a 1-run lead. They won by 1 run. But late in the game, 6th, 7th, 8th innings, twice they had a man on third base, less than 2 outs. And neither time could they get that insurance run in. Won the game anyway, but it was a little more difficult without that insurance run or 2.
That's out of play. Buchholz jumping out in front of the count to Moreland and no balls and 2 strikes. Mitch, a 288 average, couple of home runs, 12 driven in. He brings a 4-game hitting streak into play tonight. His career with the bases loaded, 1 grand salami. 359 average, and he's got 3 Ranger teammates out there on the bases right now. 0-2 the count. 1-2. That is a tough pitch to lay off of.
Yeah. He's got a good cutter. And then you can see it was inside. He's thrown a number of them tonight. He jammed Chu on his base hit and Prince just a little bit on the long fly ball to right.
Now the 1-2. Pulled on the ground, Pedroia. They get 1 at second. That's all they're going to get. And we're going to have 2-run score as DeShields continues around. Chu scored. DeShields kept going as Bogaerts dropped the ball in an effort to get it out of his glove and make a throw. And the Rangers take a 2-0 lead.
Jeff Bannister's out in the top step. I don't know if that means he's waiting to see if they wanted to review it. Let's take a look at the play at second. Like he had his foot on the bag. He looks like he was getting rid of the ball. Jeff's still looking to see, I think. You can see the runner from second taking a big turn and just trotting home. Ground ball to second with bases loaded. Scores 2.
Well, the Rangers jump out in front by a 2-0 count. Beltre erased at second. Moreland gets an RBI on the fielder's choice ground out. With just 1 RBI. The error on Bogaerts for dropping the ball. That allowed DeShields to score. And Elvis Andrus taking strike 1.
That's just an example of how important it is to make contact with men in scoring position, man on third base, less than 2 outs. Obviously, if you strike out, nothing happens. You put the ball in play, who knows what can happen. All it was a little dribbler to second base, and when the play is over, 2 runs score.
Chopper at the plate. No balls, 2 strikes. We'll get another look at that play.
Well, there's no way they're going to turn 2. Pedroia throws to second to get 1. Bogaerts, without a play at first, quickly tried to take the ball out of his glove, and when he dropped it, Delino just trotted home.
It looked like he was thinking about making a quick throw to third.
Back to third, maybe.
Yeah,
you know what? If he did, he was off.
Yeah.
Delino was quite a ways off third. He might have had a play if he did that.
0-2 to Elvis. Popped him up on the right side. Pedroia backpedaling, making the call, and that will do it. Side retire. The Rangers will come up with a couple of runs on 2 hits. There was 1 error and 1 left. After a half inning, Rangers 2, Red Sox coming up.
Center fielder Mookie Betts will lead off. Dustin Pedroia bats second. David Ortiz, the DH, is third. Hanley Ramirez is batting fourth, followed by Mike Napoli and Shane Victorino in right field. Batting seventh is the third baseman Brock Holt. Xander Bogaerts is the shortstop, and catching tonight is Sandy Leone.
Wandy Rodriguez to work, and he pumps in strike 1. 36-year-old left-hander Wandy Rodriguez, first time that he has ever faced the Boston Red Sox in his 10-year career. That leaves only one other American League team to face. Our progressive scouting report on Wandy. He needs to get back to that sinker-cutter combo that was so effective. There's the cutter that gets in on Betts, and it's a pop foul that will settle back in the 5th row. Last time out for Wandy Rodriguez against the Cleveland Indians, couldn't quite establish that the way he had wanted to. Command of the strike zone with Wandy will almost always determine what kind of success he has. If he has good command of the strike zone with the fastball, can get to his breaking ball, and able to throw that for a strike, he'll have a good evening. Pitch fouled back. Still 0-2. Mookie Betts a .233 average as he stands at the plate. 5 home runs, 21 RBI for the Red Sox leadoff man. Backhanded by Elvis, plants, throws, and got him. Nice play as Mitch Moreland getting a long enough hop that he was able to stay with it very nicely. Good play by Elvis, taking the low road over there to first base. Now we'll take a look at the rest of the Ranger defense. Is delivered to you by Fred Loya Insurance. The outfield, DeShields, Martin, and Chu, left, center, and right. Infield, you saw Moreland at first. Adam Rosales, the start at second. He's joined by Elvis Andrus. Adrian Beltre over at third, and Carlos Corporan is the catcher. 1 out for Dustin Pedroia. Pedroia, .271 average. He hammers one hard but foul down the left side. 1 ball and 1 strike. Those stands jutting out there, those fans very, very close to the action. Boy, they have to be alert. That ball gets on them in a hurry. See one of the quirks here at Fenway Park. The stands really jutting out right to the foul line down that left field side. There's 3 feet of foul territory where the stands finally go parallel to the line back there. And there's a little garage door down there that'll give you a different kind of bounce every once in a while. 1-2 to Pedroia. Dustin in yesterday's ball game at 0 for 5. He's 2 for 10 in the series. Red Sox this year have had a devil of a time against left-handers. They're hitting under 200 as a team against left-handed pitching. And Pedroia is not immune to that. He's only a 200 hitter himself against left-handed pitching this year. Pulled to Beltre. Vacuums that one up. 2 gone.
And the guy that was really struggling against lefties was Pablo Sandoval. Before the series started, he had been 2 for 41 this season against left-handed pitching. He's not in the lineup because he was hit by a pitch. He was the one really struggling against lefties.
Tell you how badly he's struggling. He was hit by a left-hander. Knocked him out of the game. That's how bad he was going against left-handed pitching. Sam Freeman got him right on that left knee. Well, 2 outs. Here is Big Papi, David Ortiz. Rangers go into that exaggerated overshift with Adam Rosales. You know, just about halfway between the infield and Shin-Soo Choo in right field. Kind of a rover position out there. It's odd. You look out there and you see the outfield playing him straight away. And Ortiz on the infield, very much a pull hitter. Wandy comes back with a strike to make it 2-1. Ortiz, a .241 average. 6 home runs, 16 driven in. That is back and out of play. 2-2. And Ortiz, again, these numbers against left-handed pitching. 136 is average against left-handers. 292. The complimentary figure against right-handers. Laid off the breaking ball. The count is full. Ortiz hitting third, trying to get aboard with 2 outs. Hanley Ramirez, the left fielder, will follow in the order. Wandy Rodriguez pumps and deals. Play for Adam Rosales in shallow right field. Long throw, and he got it. So 3 ground balls, 1-2-3 inning for Rodriguez and the Rangers. After 1, Rangers 2, Red Sox 0. Sunday, June 14th, the first 15,000 fans get an Elvis Andrus stolen base gnome. That's courtesy of Coca-Cola. Visit TexasRangers.com or call 972-RANGERS for your tickets. Leonis Martin starting off the Rangers second. Texas on top 2-0. And Leonis, the number 7 hitter in the order tonight, leading off. Martin, a 206 average. Couple of home runs, had a pinch hit home run here on Tuesday night. Snapped an 0 for 12 that he was mired in. Also the first Ranger pinch hit home run in better than a year. Michael Choice was the last Ranger to leave the yard as he came off the bench. That was back in April of 2014. 0-2 the count. Got him swinging.
All off-speed pitches. First 2 pitches were curveballs. Last pitch was a changeup. Obviously, the feeling the Red Sox have about Leonis Martin, dead fastball hitter, probably looking for a fastball to hit early in the count, and they went out of their way to make sure that he didn't see that type of pitch.
Well, 1 gone. Here's Adam Rosales. Is that a? I know it's kind of painting things with a very wide brush, but in general, when guys are in a slump, are they more susceptible to off-speed pitches? And
I think you're more susceptible to pitches off-speed that are out of the strike zone because you're so anxious. You want to get going again. You want to hit. It just doesn't breed patience and selectivity at the plate.
Yeah.
And so probably you are more susceptible to off-speed pitches because they're going out of their way to make good pitches, not hang them, keep them out of the strike zone, and you're liable to swing at them. Last pitch was a changeup and a little bit out of the strike zone. He's got a pretty good changeup, so it's not that Leonis is the only one that's going to get that changeup and have a problem with it. But he definitely did in that at bat.
0-2 to Adam Rosales. A couple of foul balls for Adam. 156 his average. Hit that ball well to left field. Ramirez toward left center makes a running catch. Didn't look like the most sure route that he could take, but again, Hanley Ramirez, a shortstop by trade, playing left field out of necessity. And he made a fine running catch there.
Yep, he really hit that ball well. He got a hanging breaking ball, hit it right on the nose. One thing the left fielder can do here, because there's so little room down the left field line, is you can shade a little bit towards center field and not have to worry about what happens if the ball goes down the line. It's going to be, in some cases, a single, double at the most anyway. It's so short down there. I give Ramirez credit. He's doing the best he can out there. It's early in the season as he learns how to play out there, and you have to think as a shortstop he's got athletic ability. But so far, 2 months into the season, he definitely looks like someone from another position trying to play left field.
Well, and having to learn how to play left field in this ballpark too that's not a real fair deal to start off with. No. I mean, you would pick a different ballpark if you were just trying to learn how to play left field than this one.
Yeah.
A lot of nooks and crannies and different kinds of things you run into here at Fenway. 0-2 the count to Corcoran. Now 1-2. Carlos taking that pitch high. Carlos hitting at an even 200 with a home run and 4 driven in. Carlos under that slightly open stance from the left side of the plate. Switch hitter. Pulls one on the ground. Pedroia knocks it down. Able to recover in time to throw out Carlos Corcoran. Rangers go down in order. We've finished 1.5 in Fenway. Rangers 2, Red Sox nothing. by the Ford Memorial Day EcoBoost sales event. Get to your best in Texas Ford dealer today. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Well, the Rangers with a 2-0 lead as Wandy Rodriguez back out to the hill to start the second inning. He'll be facing the middle third of the Boston order, Hanley Ramirez, Mike Napoli, and Brock Holt. Wandy sent the Red Sox down in order, 3 ground balls and spread out. 1 to short, 1 to third, 1 to second. First pitch to Ramirez a bit low. Even though Wandy Rodriguez has not faced the Red Sox before, Hanley Ramirez, one of the Red Sox players now that has pretty good experience against Wandy Rodriguez from the National League. Ramirez 10 for 24 in his career against Rodriguez. That's a 417 mark. Overall, Ramirez a 266 hitter. Center field, a late start by Leonis Martin, but coming in as the ball hung up for him. And makes the grab for out number 1. Next one, Mike Napoli.
Buzz, we've got a shout out we'd like to get in right now. We'd like to join Director Dave in sending a big shout out to Jake Washburn. Our thoughts and prayers are with you, Jake, and we appreciate your watching our telecast. Hope you feel better soon.
Jake, we're with you. Hope you battle and get better. We are all pulling for you, and we appreciate you tuning into the Ranger telecast. Mike Napoli having a good series against his former team. He takes off the outside corner for ball 1. Knapp 4 out of 8 in the series. He's had a home run. He has driven in a couple. Also, as always, hitting well in this ballpark. He's got a 4-game home hitting streak going on. 2-0 pitch. Smash that Elvis able to flag down on one big hop. He was backpedaling to get that long hop, and then we hit it up and shallow left field. Throws out Napoli, 2 gone.
Staggered him, but it didn't knock him down. Played it right. Tried to make sure he got as good a hop as he could get. Backed up a little bit. Hard hit ball. Gets his feet under control. Makes a routine throw to first. That's how he did it. Yeah, there it is.
And as always, Elvis explaining it to Adrian Beltre, just so Adrian understood. Here's Brock Holt, the third baseman. Holt at 291. Home run and 9 driven in. He is kind of a jack of all trades for the Red Sox, able to start at several different places. Matter of fact, he started at 4 different places in the last 5 starts that he's had. Pitch a little bit high. It's 2-1. Holt 0 for 4 yesterday. Against left-handers this year, a 294 average. So he has actually hit better against lefties than he has right-handers. Breaking ball hangs a little bit inside. And the count moves to 3-1, and Wandy wants a new baseball.
So wants to know where that pitch was, too. Easily could have been a strike.
Your Fox tracker showing you that Mark Wegner's strike zone doesn't quite start that high. Adam Rosales staggers right on the rim of the outfield grass, able to make the play. And again, it's a 1-2-3 inning. Wandy Rodriguez has retired the first 6. After 2, Rangers by 2.
the Red Sox by a score of 2-0, and I continue my food journey through Fenway. And we want to bring you interesting things you can't find in Texas, and I found one. It's a vending machine that spits out burgers and chicken nuggets, and so I decided to try it. This is from a vending machine called Hot Nosh. It is a veggie burger. It apparently was cooked when I ordered it. I am going to give it a try, guys. Definitely not as good as the lobster roll. And not as good as the El Tiante. It is very serviceable. And I would think for a trim man who thinks about his health as much as Tom Grieve does, this might be the perfect thing for you.
What happened to the rest of it?
That's a great question. This is it.
Oh, that's it right there.
Hot Nosh vending machine. Who would have thunk a vending machine could heat up food for you? This is probably not a new thing, but it's new to me.
Well, that's pretty cool. I've never seen that.
I want to know how they get the little guy in there to heat that stuff up.
I don't think I really want to know. I don't want to know how the sausage is made. Yeah, I don't know what's going on inside that vending machine. But it is edible, I will say that. And it was only $5. So
good.
There's that. So no more food until we get to New York.
Shin-Soo Choo grounds out to Mike Napoli after he kind of pinballed the ball around a bit at first base, but got the out. One gone. And now Delino DeShields will come up.
Yeah, making the play. You know, they say the best-selling item in Fenway is the Fenway Frank. Now, you can get a hot dog in any ballpark. The Fenway Frank is different, though, because they boil it instead of fry it. And the roll's a little bit different. Soft, chewy roll. Hot dogs are kind of an individual thing, depending on what kind you like. Someone may love a boiled hot dog. Someone may not even be able to eat a boiled hot dog, I guess. I kind of like it.
Yeah, that reminds me of when I was like a real little kid. I mean, 5, 6, 7 years old. The ballpark hot dogs that I ate were boiled.
Yeah.
They were in that big cauldron that they'd pick one out.
Yeah, you go home and say, Mom, why can't you make a hot dog that tastes as good as
yeah, that's right.
hot dog at the ballpark?
And after she got through slapping you, she'd tell you.
Seems like it always boiled down to they're more tasty at the ballpark because you're hungrier and you're watching the game and you're not as picky as you are when you're home.
Yeah, I suppose that's very true. Delino DeShields had that bunt single his first time up there.
Well, based on where they're playing him right now, he could do the same thing again.
Yep.
He lays down the same bunt, it's going to be a base hit again.
He takes it low. It's 3-1.
That's the thing again. It's at bat after at bat that I think he does as well as almost anybody on the team. It's lay off tough pitches, work the count a little bit. Of course, Choo is more experienced and that kind of a hitter, but for a young kid who's not played above Double-A, he's pretty good at laying off those pitches. He's not a wild swinger at all, which you might expect.
No, and watching him, Tom, guys talk about not being afraid to hit with 2 strikes on it. He's not afraid to get to 2 strikes.
Not at all.
A couple of tough pitches, and he doesn't mind taking those. He's gotten the count full, and Buchholz to the wind, the payoff pitch. Low ball 4.
There's a 3-2 breaking ball to a kid out of Double-A ball instead of a fastball. A lot of guys are going to swing at that. A lot of veterans are going to swing at that. He looked at it and took it.
We were talking about hot dogs, and the next dollar hot dog night is coming up at the ballpark on Wednesday, June 3rd. Rangers will continue a series against the White Sox. So head on out to Globe Life Park for an early summer game and enjoy all the ballpark hot dogs you can eat for just $1 each. Visit TexasRangers.com for tickets, or you can call, as always, 972-RANGERS.
There's the Fenway Franks.
Delino DeShields getting back to the bag quickly. Buchholz threw that one a little bit wide, making Mike Napoli bounce all over the place. Prince Field to the hitter. Delino, 10 stolen bases. Looks like he's trying to get himself ready to go now. And a quick throw over there, almost got him.
He had to take a little bit of a quick step to get back that time. A little quicker dive than normal.
Excuse me, I shorted him. He's got 11 stolen bases. If that throws down on the bag, he probably is out.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. A changeup that floated high. Fielder flied out to deep right field his first time to the plate. That set up the first two Ranger runs. Had DeShields and Chu advancing on that long fly out. They both scored on Mitch Moreland's fielder's choice grounder. Brent standing at the plate has a 9-game hitting streak going. He has hit 400 in those 9 games. Oh, he had a rip at that. That pitch stayed up for him, and he fouled it straight back. And you look at the scowl on his face. He knows he missed one.
If you look at the difference between the Red Sox and the Rangers have actually scored more runs than the Red Sox, have a higher batting average, more stolen bases. Red Sox walk a little bit more. Pitching wise, the Rangers have an ERA almost a half a point higher. The biggest difference has been defense. The Red Sox play better defense. They've given up 10 fewer unearned runs than the Rangers. They have a better record than the Rangers, although the stats might not bear that out.
Sandy Leon making that real close down there at first base. A snap throw. Going behind Prince Fielder.
He had a big secondary lead. He's got his whole arm on the ground, so there was nothing for Knapp to tag.
1-2 to Fielder. I think Delano DeShields has figured out exactly how far he can get off against Buchholz. Because every play, every throw over there, he's just about the same spot when the ball gets to the bag. Just inside. Buchholz wanted that one. Do that little cutter that stayed in there on Fielder, and that evens the count now at 2-2. Could have been a pitcher's pitch right there. Just nudging that inside corner. Outfield deep, swung around to the right. The infield, though, just about straight away with the exception of Holt, the third baseman. That fielder slaps it out of play down the left side. Two balls and 2 strikes. Got one out with DeShields at first base. Way inside, 3-2. Brent's having to do a little fancy footwork to get out of the way of that Buchholz pitch. So Fielder with a full count, trying to get on board to join DeShields. Adrian Beltre will follow in the order. See if Jeff Bannister turns DeShields loose on this 3-2 pitch. He's going, and the pitch is hit right up the middle, or right where Bogarts was. He was there to cover the bag with DeShields running, and that turns into an easy 6-3 double play. Rangers gone in the third after 2.5, 2-0 Texas. fans who wear a Rangers jersey to the game that night will get to participate in a pregame parade and will receive a voucher for a free ticket to select games in August and September. Plus, Texas Ranger retail locations are offering 15% off all Rangers jerseys from now until the 29th. Get tickets for May 29th at TexasRangers.com.
That was the Honeymooners, I think we just showed.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Had them on before. Well, they're still together. See, baseball brings people together.
It does. It does.
Want to have a happy family? Stay together as a family? Watch baseball games.
They agree.
Yep.
Nodding.
That's the secret.
Xander Bogaerts leading things off for the Red Sox here in the third. 1 ball, 1 strike. Wandy missing with that breaking ball. So far, Wandy has not had the command of his curveball we've seen before, but he has been able to retire the first 6 Red Sox in order without it. There's one.
What'd you say?
Yep. Yeah, the kiss of death works both ways. He just needed to have somebody knock his curveball, so I'll show you.
Well, in his start against Cleveland, I think that was a problem for him. A couple of starts before that, he was throwing the ball great. He really could drop that curveball anywhere he wanted in the strike zone, one right after the other. Against Cleveland, he struggled with his command and paid the price for it.
2-2 to Bogaerts, who is a .260 hitter. And a little bit low, so that fills the count. Bogaerts leading off the third, the bottom third of the order. Daniel Nava, the number 8 hitter, will wait in the on-deck circle. Wandy to the wide, the payoff pitch. Up the middle, off the glove of Wandy Rodriguez, and that is going to die on the grass for an infield single.
It was a hard hit ball. Looked like it was going to be a base hit up the middle. Wandy got his glove on it, just couldn't quite corral it. Slowed it down, but dribbled into no man's land. Almost made the play on it. Got his glove down, the ball just didn't stick in his glove. If he doesn't get it with his glove, it's going to be a base hit.
Yeah, exactly. That's into center field without the deflection.
Yeah.
So that's not one of the ones that pitcher will chide himself and say, we leave the ball alone, let an infielder take care of it. No, that wasn't one of those. So the first base runner for the Red Sox on at first. Bogaerts with the infield single. Now Daniel Nava. Switch hitter will turn around to bat from the right side tonight. And he takes strike 1. Nava hitting .164. First 7 weeks of the season. Nava just 3 at-bats against left-handed pitching this year, and 0 for 3 is his mark. Here's the breaking ball, 0-2. Wandy, 37 pitches so far. Infield, a step or so around to the left side. Elvis and Adam Rosales up the middle looking for that double play grounder. One ball, 2 strikes. Talking about Wandy Rodriguez, this is his first ever appearance against the Red Sox in his major league career. One other team now remains for him to face for the first time. That would be the Oakland A's. That matchup shouldn't be too far away, maybe next month. Rodriguez with a 1-2 pitch. Got him swinging. Broke out the curveball, and it was a dandy there. That is the first strikeout for Rodriguez. 1 out. Sandy Leon coming up, and let's send it back to Dana Larson for a Mazda game break. All right, Dana, thank you. Well, the Rangers have an opportunity with a win here tonight to win this series and pick up a game on the Astros. It hasn't happened a whole lot in the last month or so. Sandy Leon, switch hitting catcher up there. 1 ball, no strikes. Leon, a 161 average with a couple of runs driven in. This is his 13th game, his 10th start for the Red Sox. Blake Swihart, the young catcher for the Red Sox, started the first 2 games, and tonight it's Sandy Leon. At 2-0 the count. Rangers, with that win last night against the Red Sox, snapped a 3-game losing streak they had going. Leon rips one foul down the third base side. And the Rangers just 4-7 against the Red Sox since back in June of 2013. Prior to that, they had really done a number against Boston. They had the top winning percentage against the Red Sox starting in 2009 of any opposing team. 32-19 coming into play here tonight.
It really wasn't close over the second place team either.
Yeah. No, the Oakland A's had the second best record. They were 28-24. 4 games over 500. The Rangers 13 games over 500 against the Red Sox. 2-2 pitch. Well, the count has gone full. With 1 out, Leon trying to get aboard to join Bogaerts. Waiting in the on-deck circle, the top of the order, and Mookie Betts. Just in case Bogaerts was thinking about, taking off for a second. Well, Wandy will check him again. Payoff pitch. Could be 2. Rosales turns it, and they get the 6-4-3 twin killing. Well, the Red Sox out in the third, no runs a hit, and nobody left. After 3, Rangers by 2. Oregon leads the U.S. women's national team against the best teams in the world in search of their 3rd World Cup title. The only place you can see the 2015 FIFA Women's World Cup is on Fox and Fox Sports 1 beginning June the 6th. Adrian Beltre leading things off for the Rangers here in the 4th inning. And he takes strike one from Clay Buchholz. Adrian drew a walk back in the first. Average at 264. And Adrian on the rise. Good changeup from Buchholz. 0-2. Beltre, in the last 14 ball games, has hit .345. The batting average, which currently is at 264, has risen from 219 in that 2-week period. Laid off that high cutter. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Our lows never stop improving. We'll feature Adrian Beltre the last 10 ball games. 3 home runs, 9 RBI, and that followed the first 30 for the Ranger third sacker when he hit just 2 home runs and 6 RBI. That's a pretty good improvement. Everybody concerned outside the ball club. Adrian Beltre, is he getting old? He can't do this, can't do that. All of a sudden, nobody's worried anymore. And the only guy who really wasn't worried was Adrian.
Yeah, there comes a time, obviously, for every player where you reach that point. He's not there yet.
I don't know if you feel this way, Tom, but it seems like as long as Adrian has as much zest for the game as he does now, he's always going to be competitive.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. He's been such a great player. As he does age, his performance goes down a little. It's still better than anyone else you're going to play over there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, it's got a lot of room in between.
Yep.
All-star top performance to what's still very, very good, even as he's getting older.
Now Buchholz now another full count. Beltre waiting. Payoff pitch. Buchholz flags that down somehow and underhands to Napoli. That was a bullet, a one-hop shot. And Beltre robbed of a base hit.
See how he caught that ball. He just stuck his glove up with his head looking in the other direction, and the ball went in his glove. That was a self-defense move, and he ended up getting it out.
He was just trying to keep that from hitting him in the noggin.
That's all it was. Caught it as well. How did he do that?
Yeah. Now 1 out. Here's Mitch Moreland. Mitch is fielder's choice ground ball in the first inning. Accounted for both Ranger runs. And Mitch only got 1 RBI. But both runs scored thanks to an error on the play as Shin-Soo Choo and Delino DeShields came home. There's a drive hit high and deep to left center field. It is up the alley. Goodbye. Mitch Moreland the opposite way with his 3rd home run of the year, and the Rangers lead it 3-0.
Fenway Park Green Monster is tailor-made for a left-hand hitter with a little bit of power in the opposite direction. Just get it up in the air, and if you've got the strength that Mitch does, you got a great chance to find the seats.
Well, Moreland has always loved hitting here. That is his 5th home run in 22 games against the Red Sox.
That looked like a cutter that just stayed up on the outside part of the plate. Probably something he was trying to jam him with. Just spun up there, and he launched it. Nice play. Got to reach for that one.
And Elvis takes a strike. It's 1-1. And Clay Buchholz not real thrilled with the result of that pitch. Well, Mitch with his 4th home run in this ballpark. This is his 13th career game. And he has just worn the Red Sox out in Boston. Gentlemen explaining how he did it to everybody that's interested.
Kids are pretty excited.
He got his Ranger hat on.
Yeah, he just reached over and caught that ball. Can't make that kind of play if you haven't played a little ball before. I don't think.
2-2 now.
Can reach over the
No.
desk in front of him.
That's a pretty clean catch, too.
Sure was.
No bobble, no nothing.
I'm pretty proud of it.
Yeah.
Calling up. She said, we already saw it.
Outside to Elvis. The count now is full. Elvis popped out to second back in the first inning, trying to get aboard with one out. He'll be followed by Leonis Martin. Rangers 3 runs on 3 hits tonight. Got him swinging. Buchholz pulling the string, gets his second strikeout. 2 gone, and Martin coming up. Leonis, the other strikeout that Buchholz has accrued tonight. That leading off the second inning. Buchholz having a little trouble getting the pitches down where he wants them consistently. Leonis 2 out of 6 in this series so far. Cutter down and in, and it's 0-2. Martin's been battling that left wrist injury that he suffered down in Houston the first part of May. We saw him kind of flare up on him last night as he ran a ball down in the gap in left center. That pitch chopped foul. And every once in a while you see him on a swing like that. He'll look down at it as if to say, no, it's still attached, but it doesn't feel very good. 0-2 the count. Now 1-2. And I think since that injury, too, 14 ball games, Leonis hitting just 163. Got him on the fist, popped up. Holt into foul ground, makes the catch. And that will do it. But the Rangers get on the board again. Mitch Moreland with his 3rd home run of the year over the monster in left field. And we have played 3.5 here at Fenway. Rangers 3, Red Sox 0. To you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. and by the Mazda 6. J.D. Power has awarded the Mazda 6 highest-ranked vehicle appeal among midsize cars. Beautiful overhead shot of Fenway Park. Downtown Boston off the right over the right field foul pole. As we look at it from our vantage point. Top of the order, Mookie Betts facing Wandy Rodriguez here in the fourth inning. Betts a ground out in the first. Gets straightened up by that Rodriguez fastball. 1-1. Rodriguez has allowed just one hit. That was an infield safety to Xander Bogaerts. Chopper right at the bag. Beltre off balance throw, and he pulls Moreland off the bag. Mitch tried to keep that toe on the sack and just couldn't reach far enough. I would imagine that's going to go down as an infield hit for Mookie Betts.
Yeah, I think Adrian wanted to take one more step and plant his foot, but he just realized he had to get rid of it if he wanted to get the swift Betts at first base. So he didn't have the luxury of stopping, planting, and throwing. Couldn't quite accurately get it to first base.
And that has indeed been ruled an infield single. So Betts aboard with nobody out. Dustin Pedroia takes the breaking ball. A little bit low for ball one. Pedroia also a ground out in the first. Whoop. Carlos Corcoran expecting something other than what he got. He's out there now to talk to Wandy Rodriguez. He said, hey, see, I got one finger here, two fingers. That means curveball. One finger means fastball. Wandy said, oh, okay. I got you. Carlos down behind home plate. Flash the signs out. Pedroia waiting. Rodriguez set. And a fastball to the outside corner evens the count. Good look at Mookie Betts and his lead over there at first. A pretty big lead. Rodriguez nailing the outside corner again. 1-2 to Pedroia.
Yeah, it looks like he might have a bigger lead than Delino had at first base.
I think you're right.
Which tells me he's pretty comfortable he can get back to first base. He's way out there.
Well, Betts, the Red Sox team leader in stolen bases. He has 5. It's 5 out of 6. Could be one of those one-way leads where he's just getting out there with no intention of moving towards second. He just wants to see how far he can get off before he draws a throw.
As soon as Wandy started his movement toward first, he was going back. So he read it pretty good from where he is. Reaching out even farther.
Nice play by Carlos Corcoran to reach up and snare that errant fastball. 2-2 the count. Well, as you said, this series, the Red Sox don't run a lot. They only have 14 stolen bases as a team. And down 3-0, you would figure that Betts would give Pedroia the opportunity to swing the bat, unless he was real sure he could make second base. But the leadoff man with the big guys coming up, chances are he's not going to take a real chance with nobody out. And Pedroia ropes one into left field. That is down the line. Betts headed for third, into second with a double as Pedroia. And the Red Sox have something going now with nobody out in the fourth inning.
Pedroia got a hanging curveball. Jumped on it, took a couple of fastballs, and then got a pretty good pitch to hit. Right in the center of the plate. Pedroia has a lot of doubles in his career.
And that's his 452nd career extra base hit. And that ties him with Dom DiMaggio for 12th place on the Red Sox all-time list. Ground ball will get the run home. Ortiz thrown out by Rosales. In to score is Betts. On to third goes Pedroia. Ranger lead now is cut to 3-1.
It's one of those plays, second and third, nobody out. Your job is to pull the ball as a left-hand hitter. If you pull it on the ground, you've done your job. Hopefully you get a base hit, but if you don't, you still score a run and move the man from second over to third where he can score in a sacrifice fly now.
Yep.
It's an ultra productive out right there. Score a run and move the runner.
Ortiz with his 17th run driven in. Pedroia having a long talk with Beltre over there at third base. Former teammates. Well, the Rangers with one out now, and Pedroia at third will play the infield back again. They have Hanley Ramirez at the plate. Ramirez a fly ball to center his first time up there. He takes low and inside for ball one. Ramirez, as we have mentioned to you, has not had an RBI in the last 14 games that he has played in. That goes back to the end of April. One ball, one strike. That's the third longest RBI drought in his career. This guy, whether it was with the Marlins or the Dodgers, has been an RBI machine over the years. Little tapper coming down the line is Pedroia. The snap throw to home, and they got him. The only play that Wandy Rodriguez had with Ramirez going down the line to first was that play at home. And Pedroia, going on contact, is thrown out.
Pedroia made the decision that he could beat this play to the plate. And obviously it was a bad decision. Wandy made a nice play, didn't even transfer it to his throwing hand. He just flipped it out of his glove. And there's the easy play at the plate. Carlos had the plate blocked. Gave the outside of it to Pedroia, and after he got the ball, Pedroia had nowhere to go. Well, there's a very good out with a man on third base and less than 2 outs.
Yep. Big out there. Well, now Ramirez at first, 2 away. Mike Napoli takes a fastball for strike one. Napoli a ground ball to short back in the second inning. Rodriguez a check of Ramirez. And drops a breaking ball over the outer edge. 0-2. Napoli has always seen a lot of pitches. See, Ranger fans will remember that when Mike was with the Rangers, it seemed like every at bat started at 3-2. You didn't see that many pitches. And he's done the same thing over here. Last year, he led all the major league hitters with almost 4.5 pitches per at bat. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Got him swinging. Big breaking ball. Wandy Rodriguez with his second strikeout of the night. Red Sox score 1, but that's it. They have 2 hits and strand 1. After 4, 3-1 Texas.
And I have made my way to the Ted Williams seat. Well, not actually. It's 2 seats over right here. Section 42, row 37, seat 21. And they've marked this seat. Can you stand up? Just stand up right fast. Look, it's red. It's red. It's a red seat. It's the only red seat in the whole stadium. They marked it that way to signify where Ted Williams in 1946 hit a 502-foot home run. The bleachers, or the seats, were bleachers then, so there wasn't an exact seat here, but the story goes that it hit a fan on top of his straw hat. And then once he got up, they marked that spot, and it's stayed here forever. So it's right out here, basically directly behind the Rangers bullpen, about 40 rows up here in right field. Very cool place, this Fenway Park, with a lot of history, and this will be my last stop until hopefully a post-game interview with a Rangers win. But I have to say, the people here in Boston have been unbelievably kind. Everyone has been so helpful. The food, except for that vending machine veggie burger, has been epic. So it's a good start to this road trip. We'll do some more in New York, guys.
Great job, Em.
Very nice. Yeah, Boston fans are unique. Excellent baseball fans. And Adam Rosales, unique at bat as he gets aboard to start the Ranger 5th inning.
I can remember being down on the field as we watched the replay about 6 or 7 years ago, and the Rangers were taking batting practice for a day game, and Josh Hamilton and a couple of the left-hand hitters were just teeing off in batting practice, hitting them way over the bullpen out there. Now there's no fans in the park, so you could see that red seat. And the best bolt that Josh had that day, and obviously it was a long batting practice home run, came up rows and rows short of where that red seat was. And I was just listening to the conversation around the cage, and the conversation around the cage was, do you think he really hit the ball there? In other words, if Josh can't hit one that far, how could Ted? Well, Ted Williams was Ted Williams.
That's right. There was a game here, I'm going to say it was 2012, where Hamilton hit one in the game that came close. Yeah, it was, I don't know what it was, 4 or 5 rows short of that. But, I mean, that was a monster.
Yeah, people just assume that if you can't do it now, they couldn't do it back then.
Yeah.
You know, let's not get ridiculous. There's only one Ted Williams. And as good as the left-hand hitters in the big leagues are today, including Josh, they are not Ted Williams.
No, you are right about that. And this will give you an idea as we back our camera out. This was this afternoon. Just exactly where that seat is up there.
That's way up there.
It's hard. You got to have good eyes to see the field and the action from there. Long way up there. Carlos Corcoran at the plate, a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. Adam Rosales reached on an error to start this inning. The error was charged to Brock Holt, the third baseman, on the bad throw. Second Red Sox error of the night. Popped into shallow left field. Ramirez running out from underneath his cap makes the catch. Back to first goes Rosales, 1 away. Now back to the top of the Ranger order for Shin-Soo Choo. Well, Corcoran 0 for 2 as he made the U-turn at first. Choo 1 for 2 against Buck Holtz. Shin-Soo led the game off by singling to right field. Came around to score the first Ranger run. 1 of 2 the Rangers put on the board in that first frame. Buck Holtz 72 pitches through the first 4 and a third innings. Nothing in 1 on the foul tip. Shin-Soo checking with Tony Beasley down there at third base. Choo 2 out of 11 in this series. Again, among the league leaders in a lot of offensive categories for May. Shin-Soo has really turned things around for himself offensively. Runner on the move, and Rosales stops and goes back to first.
Well, they would have had him at second. He made a good choice. He would have been out by about a third of the distance between first and second.
Now 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Buchholz, a long look. And misses with the off-speed pitch. Now, at you, we're talking about what he has done in the month of May. He is tied for the major league lead in extra base hits. He has 14 of them with 8 doubles in May. Among the American League hitters, he's second in total bases. We'll throw over first. He's third in hits. And for the Rangers, they are right there at the top, extra base hits in Major League Baseball as a team. Two balls, 2 strikes. And the Rangers with another extra base hit tonight with Mitch Moreland's opposite field home run. Rosales stepping his lead off from first. Buchholz agrees with the sign. Chu gets one on the fist and fights it off down the third base side, back into the seats. This is Shin-Su's 23rd career game in this ballpark. Came in as a .317 lifetime hitter here at Fenway. Added to that a bit by going 1 for 2 so far tonight. Another 2-2 is coming. Line foul. A slicing line drive off the bat of Chu. Now Leon going to go out and talk to Buchholz for a bit. Rangers making Buchholz work a little extra here in the 5th inning. He's had to use 12 pitches already, and he only has 1 out. Rosales at first. Inside, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Now Chu able to run that count full, and he's trying to get aboard to join Rosales. Liner to Shields waiting to be next. 8th pitch of this at bat to Shin-Su Chu. Buchholz has walked a couple already this evening. Right-hander sets at the belt. There goes Rosales. The pitch is a strike. The throw to second, and it's a strike him out, throw him out, double play. As Chu took a fastball, and Rosales was a dead duck. No runs, no hits, an error. Nobody left. Halfway through the ball game, 3-1 Rangers. Local universities. Texas Tech's University Day is on Wednesday, June 3rd. A University Day ticket includes exciting Rangers baseball and a Texas Rangers cap in your school's colors. Visit TexasRangers.com/UDays to get your ticket and see a lineup of all University Days this season. Brock Holt starting off the Red Sox fifth inning. Be Holt, Xander Bogaerts, and Daniel Nava to face Wandy Rodriguez. Holt 0 for 1, a ground ball to second base, his first time up there. Rangers 3 runs on 3 hits. The Red Sox 1 run on 3 hits. Red Sox have committed both errors tonight that have been misplayed in this game. Wandy Rodriguez, meanwhile, kind of shaking his head. He can't quite figure out what Mark Wagner's strike zone's all about. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Fox tracker showing you the locations of the first 4 pitches. And call strike 3.
Definitely had to be a strike. It was belt high right in the middle of the plate, just on the outside half of the plate. So, caught the corner, no doubt about it.
Cut that corner right in half.
Sure did.
A good pitch by Wandy, his 3rd strikeout of the night. 1 gone. Xander Bogaerts will come up. Bogaerts had the infield single. He had a smash up the middle that Wandy Rodriguez got leather on, slowed it down. It ended up dying in the grass between the mound and second base. And that was the first hit of the night. First base runner of the night for Boston. A strike to the inside corner, 1-1. Two and 1. Bogaerts now 3 out of 9 in this series. He's increased his hitting streak to 4 straight ball games. He's on 4 for 12. Takes a backdoor breaking ball to even things out. Wandy staying right on top that pitching rubber in between pitches. And he just missed outside. So it's a full count to Bogaerts. He is trying to get aboard with 1 out. Daniel Nava, the right fielder, is waiting to be next. The breaking ball is low. All 4. Now Wandy's snapping at that throw back from Carlos Corcoran. 1 on, 1 out before Nava steps in. Let's send it back to Dana Larson for a Mazda game break. All right, Dana, thank you.
Boy, that insurmountable Dodger lead in San Francisco in last place early in the year, that's disappeared.
Yep.
That's a game and a half difference right now. San Francisco's 23-18. That's an amazing organization, boy. They weathered the storm of their injuries. You looked at their lineup and you say, how could they ever win?
And yet, year after year,
they keep winning. Tim Lincecum seems to be back in his old form, pitching great again. Bumgarner is Bumgarner.
Breaking ball that hangs outside to Nava. 2 balls, no strikes.
They got Hunter Pence back, kind of the heart and soul of their lineup. It'll be tough to contend with. Dodgers spent all the money. They got all the stars. They got all the prospects. But there's the Giants hanging right in there.
Sure are. Rodriguez a check of first, the 2-0. That is on the outside corner, 2-1. That is a pretty good location. That number 3 right there. Not many guys are going to hammer that ball too often. Now the 2-1. Runner on the move. Ground ball to the right side. It hits the runner. It hits him and goes into right field. and there was no call on the
no
play.
one called it.
Second base umpire Mike Belinsky is standing right there.
There's no way 4 umpires can miss that.
And now the 2 corner umpires, first base umpire Marty Foster and Mike Winters, the crew chief, and third base umpire, going over there to consult. And they're going to get together an umpires review here and see if they can come up with a correct call. In all fairness to the umpires, being up here, we could see it. We could see the deviation in the ball very easily. Down on the field, it's not quite as clear cut.
Well, the runner never broke stride. He was diving into second base, got up and ran. No doubt the ball was redirected. Yeah, they got together. They called it right. The runner has to know it hit him. You can't argue that. Go back to the dugout.
John Farrell's going to come out and talk to first base umpire Marty Foster.
He's trying to argue that ball didn't hit him. Maybe he didn't feel it hit him. Maybe it hit him
Might
in the
not
foot.
have.
Might have hit him in the foot as he was diving. Didn't even know it hit him. But it definitely looked like misdirection from up here.
Yeah, sure did.
It might hit him in the bottom of the foot.
Could have.
Definitely out. You could see the ball go toward the right after it hit him.
Yeah.
That was a perfectly executed hit and run. And a huge break for the Rangers. Instead of first and third and 1 out, there's a man on first and 2 outs.
It goes down as a base hit for Nava. He's at first, and Bogarts is out. The assist, or I should say the put out, goes to Adam Rosales, the closest fielder to the play.
Maybe Bogarts doesn't know you're out if the ball hits you.
He does now.
He does now.
So 2 away, Sandy Leon, the catcher, takes outside for ball 1. Leon grounded into a double play his first time up there. Wandy back to the plate. Pop foul. That will reach the seats down the first base side. 1-1. Leon a 156 average. It's left-handed pitching this year. Leon is 0 for 9. And currently, overall, he's 0 for his last 8. Nava a very short lead at first. Breaking ball just missed the outside corner. 2-1. Wandy Rodriguez not ready to throw his 79th pitch of the night. 2-2. Leon acquired from the Washington Nationals by the Red Sox right at the end of spring training. Had a need for some help behind the plate. They weren't quite ready to bring Blake Swihart up at that time. Got him swinging. Breaking ball in the dirt. And Wandy Rodriguez gets a couple of strikeouts in the inning. No runs, a hit. And 1 left after 5. 3-1 Rangers. $300 and dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. Tonight, the Rangers are hitting for Frank Finn from Plano. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam during the inning, Frank Finn from Plano will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Delino DeShields will start things off here in the sixth. It'll be DeShields, Fielder, and Beltre. First three to do the swinging against Clay Buchholz. Rangers 3 runs on 3 hits, one of them a home run by Mitch Moreland. Delino DeShields has one of the hits. He had a bunt single back in the first inning. Going after that first Buchholz pitch, it's out of play to the right. And our T-Mobile game changer, speaking of Delino DeShields, he is the focus tonight. Since May 7th, that's the last 12 games for him, a .353 average, 9 walks, 5 RBI, 11 runs scored in those 12 games, and 8 stolen bases. That's the most in Major League Baseball in that span. Chops that next pitch foul. It's 0-2. The only thing he hasn't done is hit the ball out of the ballpark.
No,
And that'll come. But he has done everything else. Rule 5 pick, 22-year-old. Had not gotten above AA in the Houston organization. Slow chopper to short. Bogaerts on the run, throws, and just does get him.
Nice play by Bogaerts. He's a big guy, but he's smooth at shortstop. Charged that, threw on the run nicely. Delino made it a close play as quickly as he did make the play.
Half a step. Well, that is out number 1, and Prince Fielder now comes up. Fielder 0 for 2. He has fly to right, to deep right, and grounded into a double play. Pops this one foul. That will reach the seats as they jut out toward the field. 0-1. Prince again with that 9-game hitting streak on the line here tonight. Average now down to 344. Hard to say down to 344, but it is. Buchholz back to him. Same pitch, same result. 0-2. Talking a while ago about Shin-Soo Choo and where he ranks among American leaguers in May. And the Fielder's up there among American leaguers for the entire season. He's the hits leader with 55 coming into play tonight. Tied for first in multi-hit games with Ian Kinsler with 18. How did he hit that?
He spoiled that thing. He's just up there playing pepper right now, trying to keep the ball, put the ball in play.
He had no idea where that
Where'd
ball
it go?
went. Yeah. Where is that thing? Another 0-2. Got him swinging.
Change up.
Pulled the string. Buchholz gets the strikeout. That's his 4th of the night. And there are 2 gone for Adrian Beltre.
He's got everything you want. The location, the movement, change of speed.
You go up the ladder with 3 good fastballs, and all of a sudden you drop that little change of pace in there. It's about 15 miles an hour slower. Beltre 0 for 1 tonight. He walked his first time. Last time up, he had a bullet back up the middle that was flagged down by Buchholz. Threw him out. Adrian brings in a 5-game hitting streak to play tonight. And a big rip at that fastball. 1-1. It wasn't too long ago, Tom, we were talking about the middle of the Ranger order and saying, well, Prince Fielder's kind of on an island. Nobody around him is doing anything. And now all of a sudden, we're looking at Beltre with a pretty good hitting streak, and
You go back over the last 2 weeks, he's been that way. Chu is setting the table for him. And whoever's been hitting second has been getting on. Moreland's been swinging the bat well since he came back. So it's starting to lengthen that lineup out a little bit in the middle.
Yep, sure is. Delano DeShields has been a big part of that, getting on base. Got to get the bottom of the order going a little bit. But Robert Chirinos has chipped in with some big games over the last week too.
Napoli an underhand to Buchholz covering, and that'll do it. Rangers out in order in the 6th inning. Just the second time tonight they have been that way. 5.5 in the books. Rangers by a pair. On Wandy Rodriguez, line tonight against Boston. 5 innings of work, 4 hits, 1 run is all. 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, and 10 ground ball outs. So able to work the ball in and away to these Red Sox hitters, taking advantage of the fact that they have not swung the bats well against left-handed pitching this year. Top of the order to face Wandy here in the 6th. Sharply hit ground ball, but right at Elvis. 1 out. Another ground ball out. Betts 1 for 3 as he goes back to the dugout. Dustin Pedroia will be next.
A nice quick inning for Wandy. He can go back out for the 7th inning. He's at 83 pitches right now. Bouncing back from the start that he had against Cleveland. First time he's ever pitched against the Red Sox.
82 pitches, 50 strikes for Wandy Rodriguez, and Dustin Pedroia doubled his last time up, so he's 1 for 2, and he takes a fastball right down through there. Now Pedroia, a .274 average. 1 ball and 1 strike. Rangers shade Pedroia slightly around to the left, both infield and outfield. 2-1. Wandy to the wind. He missed with a breaking ball. 3 balls and a strike. With a 2-run lead, you don't want to lose Pedroia, at least on a base on balls. You've got the big fella, Big Poppy, David Ortiz, to follow in the order. That's out of play and it fills the count.
Great ovation from the crowd. It must have been a nice play.
Payoff pitch coming. Up the middle. Elvis flags it down, spins, throws, and got him.
Wow, you'll see that one tonight over and over again. That might have been the nicest play Elvis has made this year. Way to his left, spinning, and threw it accurately to just get Pedroia first. That's a beauty.
Well, long throw and right on the money.
He snared that ball right in the tip of his glove. Randy recognizes what a beautiful play that was.
Now 2 outs. Here is Ortiz with the bases empty. Swinging through a pitch that was up a bit for strike 1. Ortiz twice tonight has grounded out to Adam Rosales in the rover position in shallow right field.
Ortiz is only a 136 hitter. 6 for 44 coming into the game against left-handed pitching.
And that's gone down a couple of points. Wandy dropping down to give him a different look.
0 for 2 tonight. Yeah, it's even worse now. He's only knocked in 2 runs this year against left-handed pitching.
The wind and the pitch low and outside. 2 balls and a strike. Sometimes there's a lot to be said for when you face a team, as opposed to,
that's for sure,
to how well you're playing. When you're a left-hander facing the Red Sox and they're swinging like this, you might not have the same luck against them or the same fate against them in another month or 2.
Well, everybody thought they were going to be a better offensive team than they have been. Boy, there's a borderline pitch.
Elvis behind second base on the rim of the outfield grass, throws out David Ortiz, and that'll do it. 3 ground balls, all handled by Elvis. The Red Sox are gone. 3-1 Texas after 6. The first inning, a fielder's choice ground out scored 1, and then the ball dropped by Xander Bogaerts out at shortstop. That allowed the second run to score. 2-0 Rangers. Then Mitch Moreland again, all by himself the other way. The solo blast, 3-0 in favor of the Rangers at that point, and Red Sox added a run of their own in the bottom of the 4th. Clay Buchholz out to the mound now to start the 7th inning, and he is facing Mitch Moreland.
He almost tossed up the same pitch he hit for a home run. That was a hanging curveball. The one before it was a kind of a backup cut fastball that stayed up in the same part of the plate, up and out over the plate.
1-0 pitch. That ball's lashed down the right side, but foul. Mitch kind of got that ball in on his trademark of his bat just a little bit. 1 ball and 1 strike. Action out in the Red Sox bullpen. Former Ranger Alexi Ogando up and throwing. Buchholz back with a 1-1. Up the middle, and Mitch has another base hit. Well, Moreland 2 for 3 tonight. Good night for Moreland. A leadoff single here in the 7th inning. It'll bring up Elvis Andrus. Elvis 0 for 2, a pop out and a strikeout. Buchholz approaching that 100 pitch level. He has reached that mark in each of his last 3 outings. 107 being his high for the year. And he fires strike 1. Elvis at 226. Last 16 games in this ballpark. Elvis has hit 333. So, if you take the 0 for 2 tonight, he is pretty much due to have a base hit. Checking with Tony Beasley down there at third. Mitch Moreland, the runner at first. 1 ball, 1 strike with nobody out. Now 2-1. For Elvis, on a pretty good roll against these Boston Red Sox. Go back to the end of the 2011 season. Andrus has hit almost 350 against them. 3-1. Now Elvis trying to join Mitch Moreland by getting on base to start this 7th inning. Leonis Martin, the number 7 hitter in the Ranger order, is in the on-deck circle. Hits are even at 4 tonight. Rangers have a 3-1 lead in the run column. Chopper to third, to second for 1. Pedroia turns it. 5-4-3. And there are 2 outs now with the bases empty.
Well, you go from a 3-1 count, and you're thinking, well, 1 more ball, you got 2 men on, nobody out, bunt them over, get an insurance run. Same pitch, you end up with 2 outs and nobody on. Nice play by Pedroia. The little guy hung in there. Hard slide by Mitch. Got taken out on the play, but he fired that ball back to first base with no fear.
Second double play of the night turned by the Red Sox. Leonis now will be up there with the bases empty. Martinez struck out and fouled out against Buchholz. And this one's popped up. It's going to stay in play. Holt and Xander Bogaerts, the shortstop, behind him to make the play in foul territory. That'll do it. Rangers had a promising start, but nobody left on base. Stretch time in Boston. Rangers by 2. Wandy Rodriguez tonight. Another solid night for the 36-year-old. Oh, he has had the Red Sox eating out of his hand, spotting up the fastballs, breaking balls. And he's gotten the ground balls at somebody when they put the ball in play on the ground. It has been a good night for Wandy. Just a run on 4 hits as he gets set to go to work here in the 7th inning. Hanley Ramirez to start things off, Mike Napoli and Brock Holt to follow. Ramirez, a fly ball to center and a fielder's choice grounder. 0-1. And Ramirez stuck on that 22 RBI for about 3.5 weeks.
Well, he hit the ball hard last night. Not much he could do. He hit those 2 bullets.
Yeah.
Right at Tommy Field at second base.
Echo pitch tracker showing you Wandy making a concerted effort to keep that ball at the bottom of the strike zone. Right field. Chu coming on. 1 gone. And before Mike Napoli steps in, let's take time for a Mazda game break. Here's Dana Larson. Thank you, Dana. Appreciate it. Rangers leading here at 3-1. Base is empty for Mike Napoli, who is 0 for 2. Wandy going back to work with that hook. Drops it over the inside corner.
Curveball's been much better tonight.
Yep.
A good pitch for him. That's the pitch he struck out Napoli with in the 4th inning.
High pop foul that will twist its way back into the 2nd row. Mitch over there right at the tarpaulin to take a look. 0-2 to Napoli. Wandy's next pitch will be number 100 tonight. And he has been as effective tonight as you could have drawn it up as far as the Rangers were concerned. Just exactly what they were looking for. Rangers had 5 straight games where the starters did not go over 5 1/3 innings. Keone Kellett loose in the Ranger bullpen if needed. 1-2 pitch. When Wandy, after kind of a clunker outing for him last time, just 4 2/3 against the Cleveland Indians, back on track here tonight. He has 1 out, the base is empty in the 7th inning. Got him swinging.
Again.
Second time he's gotten Napoli. That is strikeout number 5 for Rodriguez. 2 gone for Brock Holt.
He tries to backdoor the curveball. You can see where the catcher, Carlos Corporan, set up his glove right on the outside corner. And you can see Wandy bring that big breaking ball from out of the strike zone right back to the corner of the strike zone. And Mike Napoli not having any luck trying to make contact with the pitch. 2nd straight time he's struck him out with a curveball.
Corporan could catch him in a rocking chair tonight.
That's pretty
that good.
It's pretty good when you can throw a ball that breaks that much almost as accurately as you can throw your fastball.
Yeah. I think he's done that a little bit before.
He's got some experience.
Yeah. Well, Brock Holt 0 for 2, a strikeout and a ground out. 2-1 the count. Only run that the Red Sox scored was in the 4th inning. It was a single and a double to start things off, Betts and Pedroia. And then an RBI ground out by David Ortiz. He has worked around any more damage. High and outside, a full count. And the inning by inning breakdown to the 5th inning, the only time that he has been out of the teens tonight. 107 for Wandy. Payoff pitch on the way. One more time coming. Into the windup again. The left-hander deals, and another foul ball. Wandy's pitch high this year with the Rangers, 104. That was in his 8-inning outing down in Houston, back on the 5th of the month. Another foul ball. So at 110, you would probably say, well, that's probably just about the limit that Jeff Bannister and Mike Maddox would like for Wandy Rodriguez to go tonight. Although, it's a very cool evening. It's not a matter of running out of gas because of the heat. Just the way pitchers are handled in this day and age, that's probably going to be about it. That's assuming he's able to get rid of Holt before he gets to 130 pitches. Nine pitches, as our Echo pitch tracker showing you. This will be at least a 10 pitch at bat. Another 3-2. Breaking ball, couldn't get him to offer. And that's ball 4. A hold to first with 2 outs. And we'll see if that's going to do it. Jeff Bannister up the dugout steps on his way to the mound. He's got Keone Kela out there, and he said, that's what we're going to do. He points out to the bullpen. Kela will make his way in from the right field bullpen. Wandy Rodriguez goes 6 2/3 tonight. He leaves leading 3-1 here in the 7th inning. Keone Kela coming on. We will take a timeout. We're back to Fenway Park in Boston right after this. One for the first time as the greatest golfers in the world converge on the Pacific Northwest for a chance to stamp their names into the history books. Our exclusive coverage of the 115th U.S. Open Championship live from Chambers Bay Golf Course begins June 18th on Fox Sports 1, Fox, and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Here's Keone Kela taking over for Wandy Rodriguez, dealing to Sander Bogaerts. Kela in his 21st ball game of the year. Last time we saw Keone was 2 nights ago here against the Red Sox. Pitch fouled away, and the count goes to 1-1. Kela in that ball game pitched 1 inning. Came in the 6th inning. Got Bogaerts in that game to fly out to right field as the first hitter. 1 on, 2 outs in the 7th. Rangers on top 3-1. Base hit to right field. to second, and stopping there is Brock Holt. Bogart's going the other way, a base hit, and now the Red Sox have the tying runs aboard with 2 out. And Daniel Nava coming up.
Yeah, Bogart just kind of fought this pitch off. He's trying to throw it on the outside corner. It comes back toward the inside part of the plate. Gets jammed a little bit. Softly lines it into right field.
The 5th base hit of the night for the Red Sox. 2 on, 2 out. Daniel Nava, switch hitter, turning around to bat from the left side now against the right-hander Keller. Nava 1 for 2. Keller, a long look in as Carlos Corcoran going through a series of signs. Now the right-hander is ready to go. A changeup on the first pitch. 0-1. Brock Holt, the runner out at second. He walked. He was the last hitter that Wandy Rodriguez faced. Keone Kela came in and gave the base hit to Xander Bogaerts, who is at first base. Out of play. Kela now with an 0-2 advantage in the count. Wandy Rodriguez tonight, 6 2/3, 4 hits, 1 run so far. He is responsible for Holt at second base, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. The 0-2 coming. Got him swinging.
2 changeups and a heater at 96.
Kela gives up a base hit and then gets the strikeout. The Red Sox strand 2 on a hit and a walk. We're going to the 8th. Rangers 3, Red Sox 1. Tonight with the Red Sox, and it's down the coast. Take on the Yankees over the weekend, tomorrow night, Saturday afternoon, and Sunday night. And it's on to Cleveland for Memorial Day, late afternoon game against the Indians. And Tuesday night, Wednesday afternoon, before coming back home to take on these Red Sox to start a 7-game homestand. That will finish out the month of May for your Rangers. And they're dancing in the aisles at Fenway. And a Boston's take on the Texas two-step. Clay Buchholz to work here in the 8th inning. He is dealing to Adam Rosales. Carlos Corcoran, Shin-Soo Choo to follow. Rangers leading 3-1. Adam Rosales tonight has lined to left and reached on an error. 0 for 2, hitting 149 as he takes the pitch in the dirt.
A lot of times after a pitcher ends an inning with 100 pitches, you'll see a new pitcher the next inning. Buchholz, I'm sure, told John Farrell that he felt great tonight, wanted to stay in the ball game. They do have a lefty warmed up in the bullpen. Buchholz still throwing the ball fine. Gave up the 2 runs in the first inning, 1 on an error. Then the home run to Mitch in the 4th. Other than that, he's been in pretty good command of the ball game.
Tommy Lane, the left-hander, out in the Red Sox bullpen, loosening. 1-2 to Rosales. Now 2-2. Adam now just 3 for his last 30 times to the plate. He has gotten in an offensive funk, trying to get out of it by swinging the bat. 2-2 pitch. Up the middle. Bogarts can't get it. There's a base hit. Rosales found a hole, and he is aboard with a leadoff single. Carlos Corporan coming up next. Well, folks, on Friday, May 29th, Rangers play the second of a 4-game set against these Red Sox. And fans will also be treated to a post-game fireworks show set to music that'll kick the start of summer right off. Head to TexasRangers.com/tickets to pick up your seats. A 1 on, nobody out. Corporan 0 for 2, a ground out and a fly ball. Hits are now even at 5 for each ball club this evening. A bunt, and it's a good one. Holt has just 1 play. That's the first with Napoli there. To second base, in scoring position now with 1 out is Adam Rosales. Carlos Corporan with a sacrifice bunt. And with John Farrell coming out of the Red Sox dugout, that is going to do it for Clay Buchholz, who is a little disappointed to be leaving with these circumstances arising. He felt that he should be able to finish the 8th inning, but he will not have that opportunity. Well, Tommy Lane coming on. The left-hander will be asked to face Shin-Soo Choo with Adam Rosales at second and 1 out here in the top of the 8th inning. Rangers on top 3-1. We're back after this on Fox Sports Southwest. By DraftKings tonight. Prince Fielder 0 for 3. Alexi Ramirez, the White Sox, 0 for 1 this evening. Ryan Braun of the Brewers 0 for 2, but he does have a sac fly. And Matt Shoemaker of the Angels ran into a bit of a problem tonight. 6 innings and 5 earned runs. Go to DraftKings.com and enter promo code DTOWN. Now, the 30-year-old left-hander Tommy Lane is on now to work to Shin-Soo Choo. Adam Rosales at second. Lane appearing in his 14th game with the Red Sox here in 2015. Little tapper right out in front of home plate. And it's a fair ball. Rosales got a great jump from second, so he's able to beat any possibility of a throw at third. And Chu is tagged out while he's standing in the batter's box.
He doesn't know the rule. He's pointing to behind home plate where the ball hit, thinking that that makes the ball foul. It doesn't matter where the ball hits in the box, it's where it ends up. And the ball ends up out in front of home plate. Now, obviously, when it comes down, it hits behind home plate in foul territory, but you see it right out in front of home plate. That's a fair ball. Doesn't matter where it hit in the first place. And just a case of the player not understanding that part of the rule. Wouldn't have made any difference. He was going to be out at first base anyway.
Well, that is the second out. And now Delino DeShields up there. Adam Rosales 90 feet away with a very big run. And DeShields thinking about bunting his way aboard. And almost walked right into that. Seems like Delino did that the other night against Lane, too.
Same thing. Anticipating getting a good start on a pitch away and having the pitch come in. Almost ran right into it.
Well, 1 ball and no strikes. DeShields, a base hit and a walk. Tops that one foul.
Almost looked like he was trying to pull that ball, too, with the third baseman playing way in. He did that the other night.
Yep.
Third baseman way in. He pulled one right down the line, right by him. Got an idea what he's doing up there.
Yeah, he sure does. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now 2-1. Now Delino. Well, you look back at just a couple of short months ago in spring training, and some of the things that Delino has done to improve his game has been pretty dramatic. Trying to bunt his way on base that time, and he fouls it off. The count evens at 2-2. Delino worked very hard in spring training in the first part of the year at improving his outfield defense. That has come into play. And certainly the base running skills, he has fine-tuned those and continues to do so. Every phase of his game has gotten better. Trying to pick up Rosales with what could be a very big run here in this 8th inning. Tommy Lane out of the St. Louis area. In the dirt. Nice stop by Sandy Leon. And the count is now full. So DeShields, who has a walk tonight, back in the 3rd, with the full count, trying to get aboard. You see Leon doing a great job of keeping that ball right there at home plate. Shields wagging that bat back and forth. Tommy Lane ready. Low ball 4, and DeShields draws his 2nd walk tonight. And that'll bring up Prince Fielder.
Just keeps reinforcing everything we're saying about him. Good, patient at bats, laying off tough pitches. Pitches that we see veteran guys swinging at game after game after game. He seems to have a knack, have that patience. Pitch recognition, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't seem to be swinging at a lot of those tempting borderline pitches that other players have an inclination to swing at.
Prince Fielder going after that sinking fastball from Lane with no success. 0-1. Fielder tonight has grounded into a double play, flied out, and struck out. Average at 342. Runners at 1st and 3rd, 2 away, top of the 8th inning. Hard hit ball. Pedroia flags it down and throws to Napoli. Well, the Rangers get a hit and a walk, and they strand 2. We're going to the bottom of the 8th. It's still the Rangers 3, the Red Sox 1. Emily Jones. Em?
Well, Buzz, this is the 4th game since Jeff Bannister implemented the no rolls in the bullpen move. And so far, it has worked. I will knock on my head just to make sure that stays the case. But I talked to Sean Tollison today about getting his first save last night, and I asked him, are you comfortable in that closer's role? And he said, I admit it felt different. It definitely did. And I said, they always say that closers have got to be a little bit off. Do you feel like you're wired a little bit off? And he looked at me and he said, no, not really. I feel like I'm really well wired. So he said, but I still feel like I've got the stuff to be this team's closer if need be, or if it be in another role. I'm totally fine with it. He said we're all on our toes out there, and it seems to be working so far.
Yeah, somehow I can't see Sean, growing a long beard, have some crazy idiosyncrasies coming into the mound, wired in any kind of a crazy way. He's about as solid, down to earth as you can get. And it doesn't mean you can't be successful being that way either.
Well, Pablo Sandoval has come off the bench to pinch hit for Sandy Leon, leading off the bottom of the 8th inning. Sandoval, of course, missing last game and most of the one before. Got hit on that left knee by Sam Freeman. Freeman fastball here on Tuesday night. Sandoval, a .270 average overall, 5 home runs, 16 runs driven in. Facing Keone Kela with a count of 2 balls and 2 strikes. Kela back to the plate. Got him swinging.
Good. Fastball's away.
Fastball running away from Sandoval, and he could not catch up with it. That is a very big out, number 1.
Last 2 swings and misses, same pitch. Fastball away, starting maybe near the outside corner, but by the time he swung at it, it was well outside. You can see that nice movement on it, just making it go a little bit more away as it got to the plate.
A 1 gone, now back to the top of the order for the Red Sox. Mookie Betts is 1 for 3.
I know Keone has to be pumped up pitching at the time of game he's in now. I saw him the other day after the game, and he was talking about how exciting it was to be at this ballpark, hearing Sweet Caroline late in the game. He loved growing up in Seattle and going to their ballpark, but talking about road ballparks, he said this quickly went to the top of his list, and here he is. He actually was throwing the ball to Sandoval, and they were still singing Sweet Caroline in the stands, so he must really be pumped up right now.
And he's gotten ahead of Betts. No balls and 2 strikes. Fouled off. 3 consecutive off-speed pitches to start Betts off. Betts had an infield single in the 4th inning. Ended up scoring the only Red Sox run. Vitali Feliz, Sam Freeman loosening in that Ranger bullpen. Kela with a letter high set. Hit well to right field. Chu retreating, has room. That is out, number 2.
Yeah, that's dead man's alley out there for most right-hand hitters. It juts out from the foul line to 380 feet at the bullpen. And you have to be pretty strong on a cool night as a right-hand hitter to drive it over the right fielder's head. He hit that ball pretty well, didn't even get to the warning track.
2 up, 2 away. Now Dustin Pedroia, who is 1 for 3, steps up and takes strike 1. Pedroia doubled in that 4th inning. And what turned out to be a pretty big play. He was thrown out at home trying to score on Hanley Ramirez, topper back to the mound. That would have been the 2nd run of the inning. He was at third base with only 1 out. And going on contact. At the time, Wandy Rodriguez bounced off the mound, and a little shovel from the glove got him at home plate. 0-2. Keone Kela is set. And calls strike 3. Oh, he got Dustin Pedroia all upset with that call. A perfectly placed 3rd strike pitch. And Keone Kela gets a couple of punch outs in the 8th. 3-1 Rangers. We go to the 9th.
top of the ninth with the Rangers on top by a score of 3-1. This is the final game of this 3-game set against the Red Sox. After this, we head to New York for a 3-gamer against the Yankees over the weekend. Things get going at 6 o'clock on Fox Sports Southwest. Prince Fielder looks to continue his hot hitting against the Yankees, and the former Ranger Mark Teixeira has 12 home runs, which is second in the American League. Once again, 6 o'clock tomorrow here on Fox Sports Southwest, the opener of 3 between the Rangers and the Yankees. All of that wonderful information brought to you by the fine folks at AT&T Uverse, guys.
All right, Emily, thank you. Well, Alexi Ogando, the 31-year-old from San Pedro de Macorís in the Dominican Republic, spent almost 5 years with the Rangers. Now with the Red Sox, signed a free agent contract this last offseason. 15 games under his belt in a Boston uniform this year. And Adrian Beltre trying to greet him with some damage here in the ninth. Fouls it back.
Yeah, Alexi's numbers are pretty good. He's been a little bit prone to the home run ball. He's given up 3 home runs.
Yeah, Blake Swihart forms the other half of the new battery. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Beltre tonight 0 for 2. He had a walk in the first inning. Since then has grounded out a couple of times. Rangers 3 runs on 5 hits. The Red Sox 1 run on 5 hits. Sharply hit ground ball that Napoli will take to the bag himself for out number 1. So Beltre retired. Now Mitch Moreland will come up. Mitch has been pretty much the Ranger offense tonight. He has driven in 2 of the 3 runs. The other run scoring as an error was committed on the fielder's choice that Mitch had in the first inning. And he is a 3-hit night going. He pounded that right back up the middle. And Mitch Moreland aboard with 1 out. So 2 singles and a home run. The Fans MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 13 years. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD. Get real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more. Every night on every device. Visit MLB.TV for details. The Mitch removed for a pinch runner here in the 9th inning. Tommy Field has come into the ballgame for a running assignment at first base. You don't normally see Mitch taken out because of his defense. But Tommy Field, and then that would probably mean Adam Rosales is going to move over to first base. And Tommy Field will stay in the ballgame and play second. Elvis Andrus 0 for 3. And takes a strike. It is 1-1. Elvis tonight has popped out, struck out, and grounded into a double play. Most Rangers have not had at-bats against their former teammate, Alexi Ogando. Elvis being one of those that hasn't. And Sean Tollison, who got his first Major League save and his first opportunity last night, is up and loosening. Shallow right field. Daniel Nava camps underneath it. That is out number 2. So Elvis takes an 0 for 4. Back to the dugout, and with 2 outs, Leonis Martin will come up. The only Rangers on this ball club that have had any at-bats against Alexi Ogando. Shin-Soo Choo has 6. Adrian Beltre had 1, and Adam Rosales has 2. Other than that, I guess if you count spring training batting practice, they would have faced him. But that's been it. Martin tonight 0 for 3, a couple of foul pops and a strikeout. Got Tommy Field, the runner at first, 2 outs here in the 9th inning. Now 2 balls and no strikes. Remember last year, Alexi Ogando had to shut it down. Elbow inflammation. He didn't pitch after the first week in June on the DL for the rest of the year. Didn't require surgery. And drive to left center field. That is up the alley, and it's going to the scoreboard. Ramirez plays it back in. Stopping at third is Field. Alexi Ogando gives up a bullet off the bat of Leonis Martin.
The ball was hit hard, and it gets by the left fielder, but it's just not deep enough to allow the runner to come around. And the Rangers had put a pinch runner in, and what you're hoping right there is the pinch runner would be able to score when maybe Mitch might not have been able to score. And Tommy's hustling all the way. It's just too shallow where the wall is, and the throws are too short for him to come all the way around. By the time Bogarts got the relay throw, he was right back at shortstop. Wasn't any chance to get him around.
So 2nd and 3rd now, 2 outs. Adam Rosales takes low and outside for ball 1. Rosales singled to center his last time up there. 1 for 3 tonight, and the batting average currently at 167. Looking for some insurance. Got Field to third, Martin at second. And Ogando fires strike 1. Ogando, the belt high set. A little bit low. 2 balls and a strike. Alexi had years with the Rangers that saw him pitch in 44 games, 58 games. Last year limited to just 27. Remember the year in 2011 when he tried to switch to starting. That's going to do it as he underhands to Mike Napoli, and Ogando gets out of the inning unscathed. Rangers strand a couple on 2 base hits. Bottom of the 9th coming up. Rangers trying to close out a 3-1 lead. By AT&T UVerse TV. UVerse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. And by the Ford Memorial Day EcoBoost sales event. Get to your best in Texas Ford dealer today. Fenway Park in Boston. A beautiful Thursday evening here. Rangers with a 3-1 lead going to the bottom of the ninth inning. And John Tolleson back to the hill, trying for his second consecutive save. Converted his first ever Major League save last night. And according to Stats Inc., they did some research. Since the save became an official stat back in 1969, John Tolleson had to wait the second most appearances at the Major League level to close out his first save in his first opportunity of any pitcher. And Rosales over at first, Tommy Field in the game at second. Tolleson had to go with 123 appearances before he got his first opportunity and converted it. Bruce Chen had to wait 140 Major League appearances before he got the opportunity.
Bruce Chen does not resemble a closer either.
No, he does not.
That might have been a 3-inning save in a 12-0 game.
That was back in 2010. David Ortiz swings through a Tolleson fastball. It's 1-2. Ortiz 0 for 3 tonight. 3 ground ball outs. He has driven in the only Red Sox run. He's back in the 4th inning. Left center field hit pretty well. On the run to Shields. He can't get there. Off the wall. Delino, the throw into second. And sliding in with a leadoff double. David Ortiz is out there at second base.
He swung and missed at almost the same pitch earlier in the count. And then just lined that rope into left center field. Trying to throw him away. He throws it away. Outside corner. Poppy puts a good swing on it. Smokes that ball.
Well, last night in that matchup, David Ortiz was intentionally walked by Sean Tolleson. Tonight, a leadoff double, and that brings the tying run to home plate in the person of Hanley Ramirez. Ramirez 0 for 3 this evening. He has flied out twice and reached on a fielder's choice. Crowd of almost 35,000 making some noise here at Fenway. 34,945. In the dirt. Nice job by Carlos Corporan to keep that ball from going to the backstop. 1-0. Last night, this matchup produced the final out of the ballgame. Fielder's choice ground out to second base. He appealed the first. He went around.
Almost swung at the first pitch. First one was called a ball. Definitely geared up to hit the fastball. Didn't get the fastball and tried to check his swing. Couldn't quite do it.
Ball and a strike. Tolleson reading the signs. David Ortiz, runner out at second base. Rangers with a 3-1 lead. 2 balls and a strike. Ortiz, those legs limbered up out there. Sky to shallow center field.
He just got underneath that thing.
Leonis Martin taking charge, calling off Elvis Andrus, and makes the catch for out number 1. Yes, he did.
He had the swing he wanted at the pitch in the location he wanted. He just got underneath it. Last night he hit a bullet up the middle. This time he gets a hanging slider right down the middle of the plate, and he missed it. That's one of those examples of what we say all the time, Buzz. Just because you hang one doesn't mean they're going to hit it.
Yeah.
And when they do, you just say, well, he didn't get away with that one. That time, Sean got away with one.
Some of those get popped up.
Yep, they do.
Of course, some travel a long way, too.
Yeah.
That's okay. So 1 out. Here's Mike Napoli, who is 0 for 3. Couple of strikeouts, a ground ball to short. And a strike to the inner part of the plate. Napoli 0 for 1 against Tolleson. A 180 average this spring. 4 home runs and 13 RBI. Time called. John Tolleson trying to shut the Red Sox down for the second straight night. Off speed, and that hung inside. 1-1. Echo pitch tracker showing you the last pitch didn't miss by much. Rangers trying to win the rubber game of a series for the first time in 6 tries. 1-2.
That's where you want to keep that slider, way out there. That's one. You're going for the home run. You're looking for a fastball. You miss the slider by about 1.5 feet. You would have needed a 60-inch bat to hit that one.
Tolleson peering in for the signs from Corcoran.
He's also the kind of guy, don't hang that one. There you go.
Same pitch, same spot, same result.
That's
2 outs.
Exactly what he was trying to throw to Ramirez. He hung the one to Ramirez. There's where he's trying to throw it, and he executed to Mike Napoli against a guy that has the home run power to left field. He made the pitches he had to make to get him.
Now Brock Holt steps to the plate again, the last hope for the Red Sox, but he represents the tying run in this game. We got David Ortiz out at second. Ortiz has been anchored out there since the leadoff double. Good changeup on the first pitch. Holt was looking to ambush him, and John Tolleson said, Holt 0 for 2 tonight with a walk, a strikeout, and a ground out. Jeff Bannister pacing up and down in that small dugout here at Fenway. The 0-1. Same pitch.
Same pitch.
0-2. Do you back it up with the third one?
You know, I wouldn't have a problem with it if you keep it out there.
Exactly.
You know, worst that it could be is he takes it for a ball.
Looks like he's swinging in motion instead of the pitch anyway.
Yeah.
Might as well try it.
Maybe keep it a little lower.
Now time called. Holt tired of waiting. Tolleson threw 21 pitches last night. His next pitch will be his 15th here tonight. Jeff Bannister seeing if he can get his ball club to close out a series win here. 0-2 pitch. Tried it again.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're saying. Keep it outside. Keep it down. Nothing wrong with that.
1-2. Mentioned the Rangers had not won the rubber game of a series in 5 straight. This is their 6th. That goes back to September of last year. Also trying to break a streak of having lost 4 of 6 in this ballpark. 1-2 pitch.
Another one.
2-2.
4 straight changeups.
Echo pitch tracker showing you the pretty well located off-speed pitches. Tolleson to the plate. Call strike 3.
5 straight changeups.
He froze Holt like an iceberg at home plate, and the Rangers turn it into a winner. John Tolleson, his second consecutive save on consecutive nights. And the Rangers win it by a 3-1 score. Wandy Rodriguez gets the win here this evening. And there is a perfectly located fifth straight changeup.
No, you said, Buzz, after 2, would he do it again? He did it 3 more times.
I got plenty of those.
Yep. That's, we say that all the time, too. It's not necessarily